The crowd swelled to some 3,000 people at SeaTac Airport this weekend in protest to President Trump's travel ban on refugees and immigrants.
Well, on that Friday, President Trump, late that afternoon, signed the first travel ban. It went into effect immediately. I decided that next day, in part because time was of the essence. I think that the public and travelers were ill-prepared for that.
What was so shocking is to drop an executive order and have no implementation guidance given to frontline Customs, Border, and Protection folks who work at airports and ports of entry across this country. That can cause chaos and cruelty on the ground.
There were people contacting us who were outside of the United States at the time, trying to figure out if they were going to be able to travel back. There were people here who were concerned about family members who were stuck abroad.
One of our colleagues and I went to the airport at SeaTac. By 2 o'clock, it was just chaos.
I eventually came to the airport to relieve them and found out about the many different families who were being impacted. We had heard that people were going to be deported on this flight at 5:10 p.m. We're like at 3:30 p.m.
The only remedy here was to file an action in federal court to try to stop them.
It was really a team effort. We had people from our partners at the ACLU of Washington and a number of attorneys from McDonnell Hogan Bayless and Pacifica Law Group. There were people with laptops doing a declaration of one person here, and then my colleague Matt Adams was writing a habeas petition with some other folks and exchanging drafts via email. So it felt very rewarding after a long day to be able to have that very tangible victory of having 2 people who were unlawfully denied entry into the United States to be allowed to stay in.
And we're the only airport in the country who can say that day we stopped 2 people from being deported.
The Northwest Immigrant Rights Project is a model for the kind of lawyers that many of us at this table want to be.
Many cases that have come to our attention are because they have close relationships with vulnerable individuals in the state. We're able to find out and do something about perhaps a complaint that we would otherwise never hear about. So it's a tremendous partnership.
They are the first and last responders when there's a crisis, and so I honestly don't know what we would do without them.
The following week is when we filed our class action on behalf of all immigrants who are going through this family visa process. At the same time, you had the Washington State Attorney General's office filing their lawsuit, which was the first real victory on a systemic level that stemmed the tide.
Before the executive order was actually signed, it was leaked there was going to be a Muslim ban, and I remember feeling really devastated because it made me think of the Chinese Exclusion Act immediately, and I think that how can that actually happen again?
We were just incredibly pleased and proud that our Attorney General took the action that he did.
Our analysis really was about the law. Was the executive order constitutional or unconstitutional? Was it legal or illegal? We made the decision that weekend to try and file the lawsuit on Monday. That was a big ask, of course, to put together a very complex complaint, all the supporting declarations that we had in essentially 72 hours. But the team was able to pull that off to their great credit. It just seems so important because the harm that was being done to the people of the state, and I think to who we are as a people, was so profound that it just seemed to me and to the team that we just need to do it and do it right away. We decided to reach out to the business community to get support with declarations, and so my first phone call was to David Sapolsky at Amazon.
Well, I was sitting in front of my TV on Super Bowl weekend about a year ago, and I got a call from the Attorney General, which I don't normally get at home on weekends.
And within a few hours, they were on it. We're obviously asking for an injunction to stop inaction by the president. Would Judge Robart issue a ruling right then and there? We were obviously hanging on every word that the judge was saying, and once it became clear he was ruling in our favor, I know everybody in that courtroom won't forget it. Yeah.
It was just an incredible feeling. Pride, relief, hopefulness, just, all the people who are going to be helped.
It's been a really inspiring experience just to see the direct impact that we had and so quickly. That's why you go to law school.
For those of us who spent our lives dedicated to the law, I think vindication that the process works was really, really meaningful.
Yeah.
When the government targets people for who they are instead of anything that they've done, it's really important when somebody on the government side also stand up for that.
It was an important signal to the entire country, not just on this issue, but that there would be other things that the administration may want to do, but the law said they couldn't.
So the fact that we were successful so quickly, I think, without any question, emboldened attorneys general from around the country to take on the president in other actions as well.
I have attended the Goldmark Lunch every year since I was a 1L in law school. It's inspiring every year to just listen to and be in the company of the attorneys that are in this room, I wanted to share how meaningful it is for the people in this office.